Now, if you've been watching the channel recently, you will know that PlayStation Vita is one of my favorite handheld consoles ever, and a console I've been heavily collecting for over the past few months. But recently it's got me thinking, we're probably never going to see another handheld console from Sony, and that is a massive shame. Kick off your shoes and relax your socks, because today we're going to discuss why we need a PS Vita 2. Now, if you love retro gaming, the PS Vita and handheld gaming in general, then you are in the right place. Because here on the Chronik Spartan show, we love everything about handheld gaming, retro and modern and next-gen gaming as well. Pretty much if it's got gaming on it, we love it. We're passionate about it. And if you're the same, then you're going to want to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Now let's get into today's episode of why we need a PS Vita 2. Now, we all know the sob story of the PS Vita. It was technically one of the best handhelds ever made, but it just didn't get the first party support and love it needed from Sony. Sony treated the PS Vita kind of like it was a hindrance to them, like it was something they had to do but didn't really want to do. From the outside looking in, it always looked like Sony wanted the PlayStation Vita to fail, but clearly that wasn't the case. Something went wrong somewhere. Something went wrong along the lines. And there's lots of different theories and reasons people have about that, whether it's about the memory card, whether it's about the fact that they didn't get Monster Hunter on there, or any other reasons that exist. But the reality is, the PlayStation Vita had the potential to be the greatest handheld at the time and one of the greatest handhelds ever made. It made massive improvements over the PSP in terms of technical ability and hardware. For the first time, it gave console quality gaming in the palm of your hand, and it also brought in that much needed second thumbstick. On top of that, Sony tried to throw in a lot of extras as well in terms of the touchscreen, the touchpad, cameras and gyroscopic controls as well. But whereas Sony were clearly trying to think outside the box and push the boundaries of handheld gaming, a lot of people thought those gimmicks were more of a hindrance to the console itself. And for me, when it comes to the rear touchpad, I'd agree. All the other gimmicks on the console, in terms of the touchscreen, the cameras and the gyroscopic controls, even though they may not have been needed, didn't take away from the console or didn't hinder gameplay. The rear touchpad, however, did for me, because the touchpad quite often acted as R2 and L2 buttons in games, especially when we're talking about the PlayStation 1 games that were emulated on the console. And when your fingers would accidentally hit that touchpad, it made you do unwanted things in the game. Now, are those reasons alone for Sony to never attempt handheld gaming again? Was the PS Vita the nail in the coffin that showed Sony that they weren't good at making handheld consoles, that they should dip out of this market and leave it to the pros, Nintendo? Absolutely not. Many people would argue that the Nintendo Switch pushed its boundaries to become a handheld home console because of the PlayStation Vita, because the PlayStation Vita showed people it was possible to have home console quality games in the palm of your hand. Not just technically, but practically as well. Whereas most games on home consoles are designed for longer playthroughs, and games on handheld consoles are designed for smaller playthroughs, the PlayStation Vita managed to blur those lines. You could have those long, amazing and detailed experiences on the PlayStation Vita just like you could on a home console. And it was never a hindrance thanks to features like sleep mode. The PlayStation Vita had so much promise, and so many people were so excited about it, especially when we started to see some of the AAA games that were put out on release. Not only AAA games that were existing franchises, but brand new IPs as well. IPs like Tearaway and Gravity Rush. IPs that were so good that they got remade on home consoles. There was no doubt that the PS Vita had the potential and the ability to create amazing video game experiences. Now, as the AAA quality started to dwindle, that's when we started to see indie games appear on the console, as well as a lot more of a niche game library like visual novels, etc., which let the PS Vita take on a complete life of its own. A life which went beyond Sony and was more in the hands of gamers and the fans. You see, this console was never destined to die. This console has been destined to live on forever. And there's a reason behind that. It's because it's bloody amazing. Now, that's all about the PlayStation Vita. What about the PS Vita 2? The theoretical console that probably will never exist. For all the amazing things we just said about the PS Vita, there were downsides to it, there were downfalls. The memory card for one. The proprietary memory card that was needed to use a PS Vita was just such a terrible decision from Sony. They cost so much, and it made the games, the console, unplayable unless you had one. We also referred to the touchscreen at the back, which I think really hindered many gaming experiences and didn't really bring anything in terms of gameplay other than a couple couple of gimmicks in certain games. And lastly, the complete lack of AAA support beyond the first or second year. This shows there's plenty of room for improvement in the PlayStation Vita. Room for improvement that could easily be addressed by a second console, by a follow-up, whether it's a PSP 2 or a PS Vita 2. Sony really could strike it hot third time round. I mean, they say third time lucky for a reason, right? All of the issues that existed with the PS Vita and what I consider potential reasons why Sony maybe left the console behind were self-inflicted by Sony, and ones they could overcome and easily solve in a PS Vita 2. Next, we've got to think, is a console that people want? Would it perform well in today's market? All you have to do is look at the Nintendo Switch and realize there is a massive hunger for portable, handheld, home console quality gaming. People absolutely love the Nintendo Switch. And although there may be arguments that most Nintendo Switches are played in home console version, I for one am somebody who always plays it in portable handheld mode. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there just like me that love portable handheld gaming. Whether it's kids, whether it's business people, or whether it's people that are just too damn busy to sit down in front of a TV and a home console. The Nintendo Switch is perfect to just take in your bag or in your suitcase or whatever it is and just play on the go. And that is exactly where the PS Vita fits in. The PS Vita 2 could do so many things in terms of bridging the gap between handheld gaming and home console gaming, just like the Nintendo Switch did. And it doesn't even need to copy the form factor of the Nintendo Switch. Some people could even argue that the form factor of the Nintendo Switch is a little bit excessive in transitioning that gap. I personally think it's awesome, but there's far easier and simpler ways to achieve the same handheld to home console gaming switchover that the Nintendo Switch does. Sony almost addressed this with remote play for the PlayStation 4, a technology that was fantastic but didn't live up to its full potential because you couldn't play remotely away from home. It had to be over a Wi-Fi network. Again, these are simple, easy things to address and solve in today's technology. And what we are seeing now here are a list of bullet points that Sony could address and put into a PS Vita 2 to ensure the best chances of success. Now, you could also say that people have the Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo Switch which is already absorbing many games from the PS Vita library and many other consoles as well, so why do we need a Vita? Well, the reason being is that support for the PlayStation Vita still is so strong amongst the community. And it isn't just a niche community alone. This year alone, just do a search on YouTube for PS Vita 2021 and you'll see the sheer number of people talking about it. Big YouTubers as well, Switch YouTubers, talking about the PlayStation Vita from 10 years ago and why it's so relevant and such an amazing console. This shows there is such a thirst and a hunger for a PS Vita 2. And I think now that the PlayStation 5 came out and we're waiting for the VR2 as well, it's a perfect time for Sony to work on a PS Vita 2. A console that would be so welcome and so amazing in today's video gaming landscape. Now let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you want a PS Vita 2? And if you do, what do you want it to bring with it? How do you think it could improve on the PS Vita? And how do you think it could compete with the Nintendo Switch? Now, if you enjoyed today's episode and you love the PS Vita, then hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future content. Once again, thank you for watching and see you next time.